All right, let's go. Here we are, episode 2, Surfboard, independent twin fin review channel. Thanks guys for all the positive feedback. Really super stoked that you're all enjoying it. Yeah, thanks for your patience as we grow. I'm really excited to bring you episode 2. This one's featuring Gary McNeill, and you guys will know him from working with Dave Rastovich. Rasta's basically Australia's holy man, an amazing waterman, and a little bit of an enigma to a lot of people. Gary has been able to work with him fairly exclusively for the last couple of decades, probably, I would suggest, and he's been able to refine the surf craft with Dave. Personally, he's one of my favourite all-time surfers. I just love everything about his approach to riding waves in the ocean, and also his environmental stance. I just think what a great ambassador for surfing. So Gary is an incredible character. He has come from a competition surfing background himself, so he knows a lot about surfing. He's not one of these shapers who just kind of comes on the scene and learns how to shape. He's come from a background of really knowing how to surf at a high level, and we had a conversation with the guy. I called him up. He's a really top bloke and always happy to talk and explain concepts. The twin fin that we tested is the RTT model. The RTT stands for the Rasta Torus Twin. I don't know where the term Taurus comes from, but obviously it's the model name, and it's pretty unique in a lot of ways. I'll show you a lot about the bottom contours of this board that are really different, and yeah, man, far out. What a board, what a super sick little rocket. I'm going to patch in Gary in a minute on the phone conversation, and we're going to really break it down. He's pretty amazing at just discussing what he's all about. He's a high performance alternate surfboard shaper. So, you know, a lot of people think about the fish surfboard and they think about the idea that it's a retro, almost a step back in performance, or a way to move away from the performance realm of surfing. Gary's concepts are all about taking performance to another level, and that all comes through generation of speed. When we talk about speed, Gary is probably at the forefront of sort of design aesthetics around how to maximize speed through bottom channels, contours, and the rest. And the RTT model has this incredible channel that runs basically from the nose entry rocker point of the board all the way through down through the tail, and it's quite a dramatic way of channeling water through the board between the fins. And then he's also cut into this particular model, he's cut a second set of Taurus channels into the board. When you review the board, when you pick it up and you feel the board for the first time, it's quite shocking because the edges, every part of this surfboard is very highly tuned. The edges are razor sharp in some areas, more so than I've ever seen before on another board. And that's intentional. His whole concept around speed is once you have it, then you need to learn how to harness it. That is the only drawback that I found surfing this surfboard, is that with so much speed on tap, especially in powerful waves, anything with a bit of down the line direction, this board flies. So, you know, how do you get to a point where you're having to manage speed rather than generate speed? This board is one way of doing it. So when you watch Dave Rastovich surf, he's in total control at very high speeds, and if that isn't performance, then I don't know what is. High performance, controlling speed at a very high velocity and being in control through really critical parts of the wave and critical turns. It does take a fair bit of skill to wrangle a surfboard like this. It's not a beginner's surfboard, it's not a learn how to surf type shape or a forgiving shape, really. I found it really enjoyable, and because it's a twin fin and because it has such defined edges, it is both very drivey and still maneuverable and loose, but you know, not in the same way that a thruster is. You don't want to pivot from the back foot on these boards. You need to drive through your turns. You need to find the sweet spot, which is slightly just above the fins for your back foot placement. And once you do find that sweet spot, it opens up a whole new realm of flow, and you know, you're definitely going to end up in places on a wave that you didn't expect to find yourself. And the only drawback that I had of this particular board, so normally I would have ridden this board as a 5.7. I think I've had these boards sort of 5.6, 5.7 in the past. For the first time, I spoke to Gary and I said I want to stay up around the 5.10 mark. And so he did shape me a board that's 5.10 in length. Because of that, it feels like a lot of surfboard when I put it under my arm. But that's what I wanted, because this board is not a small wave grovel board. It's not about generating speed, it's about harnessing it. And I just wanted something under my feet that felt a little bit more lengthy, and that, for me, that gives me the feeling of control or a little bit more stability. And the only problem that I found with that was that because the board has a little bit of a wide outline around the sort of 12 inches through that entry part of the nose and that early entry rocker area, it just felt slightly too wide for me. And that is only because I noticed it catching occasionally when I would try and come off a maneuver, or not through turns. It doesn't catch through turns at all. It only caught when I was unaware of the fact that I had to maybe adjust for it. And I think over time you would totally get, you would adjust to that completely. I also need to explain to you guys that the waves that we had, I searched and searched and searched for some decent surf, and it was really hard to find clean open faces to test this board in. Unfortunately, we're just in a time of year with weather patterns in Sydney that produced a lot of lumpy and kind of unpredictable, weird kind of days. And even though we hunted for the best we could find, really struggled to find just a nice clean day where I could just paddle out and just surf. Just paddle in and know what the wave was going to do. The board was ready to go at all times, super responsive. The fins that Gary has provided to me are his custom fins. They're a locally made Australian product out of Currumbin Valley, I believe. Gary suggested I use these fins in his board, and my feedback on that would be that you know you've got the right fins in a surfboard when you don't notice them or you don't think about them. It felt like these fins were part of the surfboard, and the surfboard really, for me, I know it's a good board when I'm not having to think about the board. That's a sign of a great surfboard. The fins, I think for sure, are a big part of it because they're custom designed to fit these twin fin models that Gary's making. And I noticed it, I straight up noticed it. It was almost like these were a set of glass ends. It just felt like part of the surfboard, and I love that about it. Here's our review. I'll patch you in to a phone conversation that I had with Gary, and let's let him speak. Thanks, guys. Get at it. Cheers. You.
Hey, Brad.
Mate, I got that board. She turned up. Far out.
Does that feel okay?
Feels epic, yeah. Far out. It feels like, I was thinking before, like, if a normal board feels like a Cadillac, this feels like a Formula One. Do you know what I mean? It's like, It's just on steroids, eh? Everything about it.
Yeah. Well, I make Ferraris, mate, not B-dubs.
So what is the concept around the Torus Twin? Like, how is it designed to be ridden? What sort of waves do you reckon it should be ridden in, ideally? And What's the approach with it?
Well, that comes down to the operator as well, not just the board. You can only make them so well, and it comes down to who's riding them. But the main thing for that board is it goes really good in probably 2 to 5 feet. I reckon is optimum range. I mean, it's a performance twin, like a modern performance twin, so that's what it's designed to be.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So is it when we talk about performance twins, are we talking about high manoeuvrability, critical turns, or are we talking about performance as in speed, drive, or is it all of those things?
Well, I think it's all of them things, really. So it was always about, for me, the board had to be manoeuvrable and it had to be fast.
Yeah.
And that's kind of stuck with me for a long time. And then obviously with Dave, so much input from him as well is about, I don't know straight away whether it works or doesn't work. So there's a lot of input of that guy as well. And he doesn't like pumping a board. He likes the thing to be flowing and going fast. So if it's not doing that, you're in trouble already. I think he paddles out with zero expectations and it just lets it flow. And the whole thing with that, he said it himself, he said a board without those channels is a board without teeth. And that's the whole point of that Torus channel, is when you've got it up on a rail, it's giving you grip and hold, which a lot of twin fins don't have. You end up going sideways on them or they feel skatey, you know, where that channel, because of the way I do it and it's got a lot of edge to it, you're running on a fin and 2 edges instead of a fin and 1 edge.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
It does. And I noticed, mate, that edge is razor sharp through the tail.
Well, that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I can just see it's razor sharp through that back end, and I think it's amazing.
You'll feel it. That's the whole point of, because, I mean, especially someone, if you can surf, you'll feel that edge, you know what I mean? It's more, I've seen these things, you know, a lot of these boards, they're imports, and they've just got no edge on them, and I'm like looking at that going, how does that work? I mean, is that so dumbed down and so dulled down that the operator can't even feel that? Like, you know, to me, edges drive. If you don't have the edge, the board's not driving forward off anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that you want to add about that board that you've shaped in particular, or anything that you want to see addressed in the review that I do?
I watch these reviews and I watch these guys talk about you can't ride a twin fin on your backhand, and that just makes me laugh, because when I added that tail channel, the whole board changed. Especially on your backhand, you can feel it more. You got more hold and more bite and more control.
The
that
second
little
channel
right at the back, that's what that's about. That's about more, I made that more for backhand, or guys that overpower boards, or it's definitely backhand for sure. Yeah, see what it does, mate. You never know, it might go good.
Oh, classic. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for your time, and super excited about the shape and everything. So, yeah.
thy grave is just the same. Love and death, they walk hand in hand. The way to thy grave is just the same. Yo